Hi guys, in this video I provide an introduction to SQL. SQL, sometimes referred to as SQL, stands for Structured Query Language. It is a language for querying a relational database. In this video I show you some hands-on examples how to send queries to a database. First I log into MySQL with a user root and a password. After I enter the password, I have access to the command line tool where I can issue SQL statements. The first query that I'll write is show databases. This will list all the databases that are available. Note that all SQL commands end with a semicolon. There are already 4 databases available. These are the system databases, so I don't want to change anything in them. What I will do next is create a new database. Create database and then the database name, which is employees. The query was okay, and if I run the previous query, show databases again, I can see that the employees database is now listed. What I want to do is next is use that database. That means all the following SQL statements will operate on this database employees. So I type in use employees, semicolon, and now the database has changed to employees. Next, this database doesn't have any tables. I can enter show tables, and here you can see it's an empty set, no tables exist. So I will use this command, create table employee, and then followed are the columns that this table will have. There's a column ID. The type of this column or the data in this column will be an integer, and this will be the primary key. Then I have a column first name of type varchar. Varchar means a variable length of characters, and the maximum number of characters that this column can accommodate is 32. That means that it cannot accommodate any entry where the first name is longer than 32 characters. But I assume that all first names will fit within 32 characters. And then a column with last name with the same data type of varchar 32. When I hit enter, this query was okay. And now when I enter show tables again, I can see there's a table employee. Now you can also get more information if you type in describe table employee. But hitting describe is somehow messy on the small screen, so you don't see as well. You can see here there's an employee. Next, I want to insert data into that table. So I'll use an insert statement. This one is insert into, then the table name, which is employee. And the values that I will provide will match the following columns. First, the column ID, then the column first name, and last, the column last name. And this is the order of the values I provide. So here I have now the values, which is 1, then quotes John, and in quotes Doe, the last name. Now if I hit enter, the query is okay. Don't get confused by the error here. It's really just because there is a line break here. Let me give you another example. And I type this in. Insert into, then the table name, which is employee. Then I specify the columns, ID, first name, last name. And this is in parentheses. And now I type the keyword values, and here I provide the values. So for ID, it will be 2, first name will be Mary, and last name will be Jane. Both of these in quotes, then closing parentheses and semicolon. If I hit enter, the query shows okay as well. And now what I should have is the resulting table ID first name last name with 2 tuples. First is ID 1 with John Doe, and then ID 2 with Mary Jane. So how can I get information from a table? This is where I issue select statements. So I type in select star. Star means everything, the entire tuple or entire row from employee. This is the table that I specify here. So basically, give me everything that's in the table employee. Now, if I have hit enter, I can see this table has 3 columns: ID, first name, last name, and then 2 entries, or 2 tuples, or 2 rows. So the first name is 1 John Doe, and the second one is 2 Mary Jane. Now, if I don't want to get everything in the table, let's say I want to just get a particular column. Let's say I only want to get the first names. I can issue select first name from employee. And here you can see I only get the first name. I could also issue get, and here I replace first name with last name, and then I only get the last names. Or I could say I only care about the IDs, get ID from employee, and here I only get the employees. What I can also do is select multiple columns. For example, I don't care about the ID, but I want to see the first and last names of all the employees. So I issue select first name, comma, last name from employee. And here you can see I only get first name, last name. Next, I can also filter. So basically what I just did is select individual columns, but I get all the rows for the columns. Now sometimes, or many times, I just want to get certain rows that match a certain criteria. For example, I can say, give me all information from the table employee where, and then I can enter a condition. For example, where the first name is John. This is basically give me all the employees in my company that currently exist in this database that have a first name of John. And I hit enter, and here's my information. Or I could say select all, or let's use select last name. Give me the last names of all people, of all employees, where the first name equals John. If I do this, I only get the last name, but I know based on my query that this is only the employees that have a name John as a first name. Note that this is different than many programming languages. In SQL, there's only a single equal sign. This means checking for equality based on this condition. So there's not 2 equal signs. And if you have, if this table would have age, I could also say where age and use a comparison operator. For example, give me all employees that are older than 25 years old. So you can use less than, larger than with these types of queries. I can also do multiple conditions. For example, I can say, give me first name and last name from the table employees, from the table employee, where the first name is John or the first name is Mary. And if I hit enter, I get both of these because this matched either the first name was John, which is the first row of the case, or the first name was Mary, which is the case in the second row. I could also do something, let's remove this, select the first name, or let's say select all from employee where the first name is John and the last name is Doe. So this one uses the logical AND operator where all of the conditions I provide must be true. This is how you can use the where clause. So again, in the select, when you select, you can specify the columns that you care about. In the where statement or the where clause, you specify which rows you care about. So once you filter by column, and the other one you filter by rows. Next, we can also delete data from a table. This can be done with a delete statement. It's very, very similar to select statement, but delete only operates on entire rows. You cannot just simply delete a cell in a table. So it's basically delete from. You don't specify any star, you don't specify any columns. It's really just, I want to delete an entry from the table employee where the first name is John. And if I hit enter, this was successful. If I now do select from employee, I can see John is gone and I only have Mary Jane left. I could also do delete from employee where ID equals 2. If I have hit enter, you can see this was successful again. If I get again the table, nothing is left because I deleted both entries. And I hope this gives you some idea how to operate with SQL and how to issue queries to a database. Thank you for watching.